Well, here's a question for you. Do you keep Kleenex close by in your meeting room? Now, if you sit here in this meeting room, you're liable to be within arm's reach of a Kleenex, no matter where you sit. We had a member that was here for years that wanted to make sure that we were stocked with plenty of Kleenex all over this room. You never know when you might need one, especially if there's an emotional moment and you need to be able to reach for a Kleenex. You know, this reminds me of an emotional moment in the ministry of Jesus. A loved one of his had died, and he went to the family to meet them. And when he arrived, everyone was crying. They were weeping. His good friend Lazarus had already died. They'd already had a funeral. They'd already buried him in the ground. And Jesus looked around at all of his friends and his loved ones as they were weeping, and he was so moved that he began to shed tears himself. Now, I didn't realize that at the time, the first few times I read that story, that there were two different types of tears in this story. There were the tears of Lazarus' family. They were tears of heartbreak. They were tears of hopelessness. Their loved one was gone. Lazarus was buried. There was no hope. If Jesus had gotten there sooner, perhaps Jesus could have healed him and kept him from dying. But now Lazarus is dead and buried, and now there's no hope. On the other hand, there were the tears that Jesus shed that were very different kinds of tears. They were not tears of hopelessness. In fact, Jesus knew that he was going to raise Lazarus from the dead. And so with that, Jesus had them lead him to Lazarus' tomb, and he shed tears not because of hopelessness, but he shed tears because he saw what the enemy, death, had done to his loved ones. So he called Lazarus' name and literally woke him out of his sleep in the grave. And Lazarus came up alive out of the grave. And you know, that reminds me that when Jesus comes again, he will wake us out of our death sleep with an alarm like no other. And so we can rest assured that when we die in the Lord, when we pass from this life, if we have surrendered our lives to him as Lord and been baptized and born again, that even though we go down into the ground, it is just a death sleep. And even though we weep for our loved ones, they're not like the tears of Lazarus' family. They're more like the tears of Jesus. We weep because we miss our loved one, but they're not hopeless tears. They're tears of hope because Jesus is coming again and will raise us up out of the grave.